Welcome to another episode of Double J's List. I'm here to give you a 10-year ownership report of our 2000 Mazda Miata, or MX-5, depending on where you're from. My wife and I purchased this back in 2009, so we've actually had it a little over 10 years now. It'll be 10 years in October. It'll be 11 years in October. Anyway, here to give you a report of like the things that have gone wrong. We bought it with, I want to say it had 58,000 miles on it. Now it's got 85,000 miles. So we haven't driven it a ton. We use it primarily as just like a fun car, occasional use when the weather's nice. We haven't treated it as well as we probably should have treated it. Just life has gotten in the way of taking care of it properly, and sometimes it got left outside. And it wasn't a very pristine example when we first bought it. It had been winter driven. It came with a hardtop. I'll show you actually what I've done first off for storage for the hardtop. Company called Moss Motors. I think you can type in Moss Miata, M-O-S-S, on Google and find their website. I bought this mechanism. What it is it's a dolly system that comes with a harness that wraps around the top. Let me see if I can show you that. And it makes it nice and easy to take the hardtop off the car. It's pretty much a two-person job if you don't have this dolly with the pulley system. But one person can do it very easily with this. And then what's nice about it is then you pull it up to your ceiling, and I installed eye hooks into the ceiling and used some ratchet straps. Just get a little bit closer and have a little bit more than just one rope holding it up, and it frees up garage space. Moving on to the Miata, not a whole lot has gone wrong with this car in 10 years. It had new brakes on it when we purchased it, and I still have not replaced those yet. They're still good. I did go through one set of tires, and one of the few mechanical issues I had were the ignition coils went wrong, and it was running on 3 cylinders for a little while, and I just replaced those. I think that was about $100. I did a timing belt replacement myself. It's actually a fairly easy job to do on these cars. I recommend looking it up if you're pretty good at do-it-yourself things. It's a non-interference engine also, so if you screw it up, you're not going to really hurt anything. So that's one reason I was not afraid to do that job. Other than that, I replaced a battery after it was about 7 or 8 years old, so that went even longer than it really should have. And then other than that, I did have a water pump fail after I did the timing belt, and I had to take it all apart again. They recommend replacing the water pump when you do the timing belt at around 60,000 miles, and I didn't, because I thought, well, it only has 60,000 miles, what could go wrong? And sure enough, it went wrong. So then I had to take the timing belt off and do it again, and I replaced the timing belt again just because I was already there, and all the associated pulleys. That was only about 10,000 miles later. Other than that, ours is not a pristine example, like I said before. It's seen some buffalo winters, not all. It's been parked outside a little bit, and then the red paint, the clear coat's failing on the front. That's really common on red paint Miatas. The headlights are starting to fade. Ours has a little bit of surface rust, probably from being through a few buffalo winters. It came with winter wheels and the hardtop. I've since gotten rid of the winter wheels. We haven't driven it through any winters. Interesting story behind the rear bumper. When I bought it, it had a dent in the bumper that was pretty bad, and I happened to find one that was used. You can see it's actually a little more faded than the rest of the car, but it is the correct red. But it had cutouts for dual exhaust. The car that it came off of had a racing beat muffler that had dual exhaust, and the guy who was parting the car out on Craigslist sold me the muffler too, because I didn't want to cut out for a exhaust that I didn't have. So I then put the Racing Beat exhaust on. One other thing that failed, now that I think of it, the resonator
broke on the exhaust, and I had a local exhaust shop just actually eliminate it and just do that. So it's actually a little bit louder than most Miatas because of the racing beat muffler and the lack of a resonator, but it's not too loud. Thanks for interrupting, Finn. Other than that, the air conditioning works good, everything works good. I do get an occasional check engine light for a random misfire that just kind of goes away on its own. But other than that, these cars are remarkably reliable. Kind of the gold standard of what a reliable Japanese sports car is. It is the best-selling roadster of all time, and there's a reason behind that. These cars on the used market are extremely affordable, and you really just can't go wrong. Most people, when they ask, they're looking for a convertible of some type. This is the best thing that you can do, really. So moving on, I did update the center console with one out of the later second generation Miata that has the cup holders. That's one modification I made. It makes things easier. It was missing the doors, so I got it inexpensively. You just put drinks in it, so I don't really need the little doors on there anyway. And then you lose a little bit of center console space, but cup holders are a nice modern amenity, especially if you want to use the car for daily use. This is the original convertible top. You can put it up with one hand. And ours is actually in really good shape, no holes. Remarkable condition for being almost 20 years old. Actually, over 20 years old. That has been folded up all winter in its spot because I had the hardtop on. Actually, I've had the hardtop on for 2 years. So I don't even think that needs to be replaced. Some of the caveats of these cars is they're really not good on the highway. I don't like driving this car to work because I have a highway part of my drive, and the car's kind of loud, and it revs at about 4,000 RPM at 70 miles an hour. So it's kind of unpleasant. There's a lot of wind noise. These are a nice back road around town car. Not for something you want to drive every day, but people do, and they are reliable enough. But I personally don't recommend it unless your drive doesn't involve the highway. Anyway, please feel free to like and subscribe to my channel. I really don't have a lot to say about the Miata, only because it just works. They're fantastic little cars. My wife and I have in the past 3 years, we've had 2 children, and we don't get to use it as much as we'd like to. But we can't justify selling it just because it really doesn't cost us anything to keep around, and it's not worth a whole lot of money because there's so many of these cars in nice shape that you can go out and buy. So it's probably just going to stay with us for a long time. If you have any questions, any comments, go ahead and feel free to put them up there. Like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content from me. Love to hear from you.